Brett Smith is with the Center for Automotive Research. You've just wrapped up your session on Advanced Powertrain, had a lot of great speakers from all over the place. What are some of the key takeaways?
John, it was, again, this year a really great program. We had a really diverse group this year. We started with Steve Kiefer from General Motors, and Steve did a great job of kind of summarizing the broad perspective that General Motors has. General Motors is still an enormous company with an incredible portfolio of products, and Steve did a good job of checking and talking about those things. We then had Justin Ward from Toyota talk about fuel cells. I think fuel cells are one of those things we hear about every 10 years, but every 10 years they get closer. Shane Stevens-Romaro from First Element Fuels also came along and talked about what they're doing on infrastructure for hydrogen, which again is one of those key chicken and egg things. Things are starting to happen, still a long way to go, but things are happening. And finally, at the end of the day, I think we had a really fascinating discussion with Alberto Ayala from the California Air Resource Board and Oliver Schmidt from Volkswagen, talking about kind of how regulation is shaping the industry and how the Air Resource Board might be able to change and further affect things, and maybe how the industry needs to adapt to what they're doing.
Alberto Ayala suggested that the CARB could be very flexible for car companies. It's got to be good news to the industry.
That's very good news. What CARB is very good at is setting reach targets, really to stretch the car companies. Sometimes maybe they have to pull back a little bit, but each time going forward, they get more and more convinced they need to go further. And as they go further, the industry works harder. We've talked about in the session, the smog, the things that were so locally challenging in California. The Air Resource Board has done a fabulous job of getting rid of those, or of getting those better. Now they're looking at it as a global thing. They're looking at CO2. That's a bit more challenging for the state agency to do than it is to look at local issues, the smog. The ability for them to push us beyond the smog to the CO2 reduction stuff is going to be fascinating to watch from the industry's point of view.
Huge challenge for the industry. I think Oliver Schmidt, as you mentioned, said that the industry has to generate 900,000 ZEV credits by 2025. That's going to be tough.
The ZEV mandates are, we talked about this a little bit also, fabulously complex. And you talk to the engineers, the people, the product planners who are working on this stuff, and they just shake their heads and say, the numbers are crazy. And maybe the numbers don't necessarily add up to the quickest or most efficient way to get there. Alberto suggested that they're working to smooth that out. They're working to make it better. That's good news.
You did ask him, why can't you make the regulation simpler? Because as you point out, they're very complicated.
Why not give them a point and say, get there? We don't care how you do it, get there. They both, Alberto and Oliver, kind of shook there and said, yeah, no.
Not going to happen.
Complexity to a government agency is better, it's good, right? It means more jobs.
That's right. Brett, thanks so much for your update. Very good.
Thank you.
And keep tuning in to Autoline.tv as we bring you more updates from the management briefing seminars.
When it comes to meeting global mandates for fuel economy, Dow Automotive Systems is leading the way. We're the only supplier offering lightweighting capability supported by epoxy resin systems, structural, aluminum and composite bonding adhesives, acoustical foam technologies, and carbon fiber systems that, when combined, work together as a complete solution. And our award-winning lightweight bonding solutions can be found in many vehicles on the road today. Affordable solutions from Dow Automotive Systems.